would like to Hi. Sorry. Hi. I would like to welcome you to our discussion panel where we'll discuss data science and finance. My name is Zainaba, and I'm working in the Central Data and AI Innovation Team of Société Générale. Today, we will be focusing on two topics. The first one will be tackling the process of value creation from data science, from data in Société Générale activities. In order for you to have a clear picture, as Claire mentioned it, we will give some examples and focus on some use cases. The second topic will be centered on the human faces behind this process. You can see them on the screen, primarily women. We will get to know more about women working on data science within our group and share with you their backgrounds, visions, ambitions, and their daily work. Today, I'm very lucky to have a great panel of data scientists, 4 data scientists from 3 data labs within our company. It is interesting to know that at a global level for Société Générale, we have more than 20 data labs, and our data science community counts more than 150 data scientists. Please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A tab. We'll try to answer them all if we have time. At the end of the panel discussion, if we lack some time, we'll come back to you later. Ladies, to start with, please take over the floor to introduce yourselves to our audience. To get to know you more, briefly, maybe state what you want to know, what you want us to know about you. Let's maybe start with Lucille and Lorraine. You're working closely, and then we'll pass on to Marion and Nathalie.
Yes, thank you. Hello, my name is Lucille. I'm 25 years old. I have a master's degree in applied mathematics with a major in data science. I did my internship at Société Générale, then I was hired 2 years now.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lorraine Yepi. I have an engineering background in embedded systems and signal processing. I have also a master's degree in machine learning and big data from Telecom Paris Tech. I have been working at Société Générale for 2 years and a half now, yes. And before that, I was a product manager for 7 years in the automotive sector.
Hi, my name is Marion Cabral. I graduated in 2012 from NSAE and the Laure Elie Master's Program, which is a master's in statistics and probability with a specialization in quantitative finance. I did various internships in structuring and trading, and I was then hired in 2013 by Société Générale as a quantitative engineer for the division in charge of large corporates and financial institutions. And 2 years ago, I started working in my current position as a data scientist within the digital office for the corporate and investment bank.
Hi everyone, I'm Nathalie and I'm 25. I graduated from Telecom Paris Tech with a major in data science. I've been working as a data scientist at Société Générale for almost 2 years. And prior to that, I did a 6-month internship at Société Générale.
Thank you for these introductions. Now, in order to help us understand your role within Société Générale, as being an international financial institution with a wide range of financial activities, serving more than 30 million individuals, businesses, small and big businesses and investors, I would like you maybe to give some information to our audience about the business activity or the function you and your data lab team work for. Lucille and Lorraine, maybe you can start.
Yes, thank you. Lorraine and I work for the data lab for general inspection and audit, which are the bank's third line of defense, or what we name LOD3. It's the periodic control. In a bank, we have 3 lines of defense. The first line of defense, what we call LOD1, made up of the operational business team that control its own processes. The second line of defense, LOD2, composed of permanent control of the activities supervised by an entity detached from the business team. Our main duties in the LOD3 consist in working on all the bank subjects, investment banking or IT-related topics for Lorraine, and retail banking-related topics in my case. The data lab is composed of 20 people in France and about 15 people abroad in Eastern Europe, Africa, Asia, and in the United States.
So for my part, I work in a team of approximately 20 people located in Paris, London, and New York. So the team covers all the wholesale banking division, meaning global markets, securities, financing, and global payment services. So we work for a wide range of internal clients.
As for me, I'm currently working in the modelization team of the risk department of Société Générale that deals with financial risk and in particular credit risk, but also offers data science solutions. So our data science team gathers about 15 people who are in charge of developing and implementing models for every risk department.
Thank you. So now that we got to know your role within the group, we will know you more. Let's talk about the use cases you're working on. For our audience, one or two projects you delivered recently or that you are currently working on. Let's start with you, Lucille.
Yes, of course. I will say that the fight against fraud, whichever from anti-money laundering to terrorist financing, including internal fraud, is definitely one of the major topics investigated by the Inspection and Audit Department. Retail's client financial security is a recurring theme in our missions. Indeed, as previously discussed, we are the last line of defense, and part of our activities is to make sure as much as possible that neither fraud, nor money laundering, nor terrorist financing networks remain undetected. In order to address this problem, we have created a transactional graph or network that we have decomposed into communities. Then, for each of them, we created variables to describe each of those communities obtained. We then applied supervised learning and algorithm to classify the communities between LC, the non-fraudulent ones, and suspicious ones. This project final goal really consists in designing a tool that can involve and adapt to the ever-changing fraud patterns without requiring any human-based explicit description in transaction monitoring systems. Currently, several projects are in progress to improve global knowledge of these complex operational subjects. The first one is creating communities coherent from a financial crime analyst operational point of view using social network analysis methods. The second one is the feature creation thanks to the automatic graph embeddings. And the last one is the improvement of the classification model's performance using neural network. The main difficulty on this project is the fact that fraudulent networks are fortunately very rare events. It's really like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Very good introduction, Lucille, for our work. In fact, as you mentioned, anti-money laundering is a problematic for which many challenges remain open, especially covering investment banking perimeter. Additionally, it appears really complex to model. So far, our scope of activity focuses on corporate clients because we need to start somewhere, and also because it is a priority for the business. We have already started to work, we have already worked, in fact, on the detection of atypical transactions using unsupervised models. And we are currently keeping this work up by focusing on clients' field. So we want to develop another approach, which is based, in fact, on neural networks and graphs, and is divided into axes. So we are at the early stage of this new approach. So the first axis consists in detecting atypical clients on static graphs, and the second axis is more dynamic, and we want to exploit the time dimension to detect atypical subgraph profiles. So So for both axes, feature engineering is really important, both at the nodes and at the edge levels. And as you said before, Lucille, fraud is really difficult to find, and we need absolutely to collaborate with experts. Now I hand the floor to Marion.
Well, so I'm currently working on a nowcasting GDP project. So nowcasting is a contraction of the two terms now and forecasting. So the objective of the project is to predict GDP at different times in the quarter. So a GDP growth is predictions are very useful for policymakers to assess macroeconomic conditions in real time. So they can take crucial economic decisions based on that. So consequently, it's very useful for departments working on markets too. Like trading desk or investors. So these predictions are directly used by our macroeconomic research department, but also indirectly used by other departments, such as departments working on markets, but also our management. So they will use these predictions of GDP as an input in their models to predict different things, such as markets, but also the budget based on different economic scenarios. So to better understand our constraints and the context, it's important to know that the first estimate of GDP is obtained 1 month after the corresponding quarter. The real value of GDP is based on national accounts, but we can obtain an approximate value by taking into account many variables, such as different surveys, figures, or alternative data. So, for example, we use surveys on industrial production or unemployment rate figures. But the problem is that these figures are obtained at different times in the quarter, and we would like our GDP predictions without waiting to collect all of them. So basically, our objective is to track the real-time data flow using a single coherent framework. And so the data flow, as we just said, but also the low historical depths of data. So why low historical depths of data? Because so the GDP, its frequency is quarterly. So even if we take into account, let's say, 10 years of historical data, we're going to have 40 observations, which is far from what the standard machine learning models require. So some econometric models, such as a dynamic factor model, or other standard machine learning models address these issues. But for this project, we would like to build a more sophisticated machine learning model.
Thank you, Marion. So as I remember, you also use some macroeconomic GDP data in your projects, Natalie?
Yes, in fact, I recently worked on developing a model to predict the residual values of used cars for Société Générale leasing subsidiary called ALD Automotive. So for those who are unfamiliar with the concept of leasing, it is essentially a contract between the company and a customer to rent a car for a determined contract duration and mileage. At the end of the contract, the customer has the option to buy the car at a fixed price. Otherwise, the used car is sold by ALD. ALD was asked by the European Central Bank to develop more complex stress test methodologies. To address this, we built a model able to estimate the used car sale amount for each car using the historical used car sales, macroeconomic, and market data. The model is then applied on the current fleet using stressed macroeconomic and market prediction given by Société Générale economists. Macroeconomic data include variables such as the GDP, the unemployment rate, while market data include the number of new registrations and its share of diesel vehicles. The model is now in production in the Madrid team of ALD to conduct stress test exercises.
Thank you for enlightening us with your project. This is really exciting. I think the audience would definitely share my point of view. And it showcases the variety of topics that are handled within a bank data lab. Let's now take a step back and maybe get your vision on the issues faced by the financial sector nowadays, and how do you think that data science and machine learning can help address them? Let's start with you, Lorraine, if you don't mind.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Zainaba. So, from our point of view, the banking sector is an ecosystem of many challenges. We all know that, I guess. Banks have to face up to ultra competition. I'm thinking in particular of neobanks or online banking. They have to retain customers in the retail banking. They have to work harder to win more market shares in investment banking. They must constantly ensure compliance with regulatory directives and protect themselves about cybercrime. So you see, there is a lot to do. So for me, the contribution of data science lies in the ability to improve our customer experience. For instance, by offering to the customer more intelligent platforms and services, by why not offering them open banking, for instance. It also lies in the ability to improve our operational efficiency. Uh, it's especially in regulatory issues. Typically, in our department, it is data science helps to have a better detection of problems and to help to it helps also to provide accurate recommendations. So that is my opinion.
So yeah, well, as Lauren said, finance and especially banks have to adapt to an increasingly restrictive regulatory environment. And at the same time, they still retain a key role in the economy as they play a pivotal role providing credit, which is crucial, especially in times of crisis. And yes, like other industries, banks are increasingly opting for a more sustainable and responsible role in finance. Yes, I mean, for example, with regards to everything related to ESG finance, so ESG, E for environment, S for social, and G for governance. So this refers to the three central factors in measuring the sustainability and social impact of an investment in a business. And yes, like other industries, the financial sector is dedicated in making innovation a cornerstone of its strategy. So how can machine learning help? It can help in accurately evaluating risks, providing tangible data and risk assessment to regulatory agencies. It can also help to detect which companies or people are facing difficulties and evaluate the risks behind that. It can also help to accurately quantify environmental and social criteria in companies, provided the data is properly collected. And yes, regarding innovation, many companies in finance or elsewhere put machine learning at the heart of their strategies to transform their business, to automate tasks, to provide more personalized services. So this is also the case in finance, but in this field, we also have a huge amount and variety of data, which enable us to address these challenges and increase innovation opportunities.
Adding up to Marion's words, indeed, the periodic control has carried out a mission on the theme of corporate social responsibility. The inspection and audit data lab was able to create a tool to monitor the reputation of a company from a corporate social responsibility point of view.
I completely agree with what you all said. I believe that in a fast-changing world, finance and banks have to meet customers' needs. They are looking for speed, efficiency, reliability, and security. So as a large amount of data is collected by banks, machine learning contributes in having better financial forecasting, personalized customer services, and data security.
Thank you for sharing your visions. We surely learned a lot from you. I hope so. I would like now to go on a more personal ground and ask you a very open question, or maybe a set of questions. Please feel free to choose the part you want to answer. My first question is, what makes you passionate about data science, if it's the case? The second one, what are your ambitions for the coming years? And if you have a piece of advice to give to our audience, what would it be? I think especially of female students who wish to become data scientists like you. I could see some questions coming and comments from some students. I hand the floor to you, Lucy.
Yes, thank you. What makes me passionate about data science field? Data science is a science in constant evolution, both from a technical and an application point of view. In 5 years, I hope I'll be able to discover and learn about these 2 points.
Maybe I can choose the question about why I decided to become a data scientist, and maybe also share a piece of advice. So before becoming a data scientist, I was an IoT manager in the automotive sector for 7 years. So at that moment, at the end of that experience, my dream was to be hired in a bank and to experiment its technical challenges. So the technical range in the data science is very wide, and the business aspect is as important. It's just as important. So when I decided to become to change direction, I didn't think about whether I could do it. So the only question that came to mind was just in which bank I will apply my new skills. So if you are passionate as am I, uh, there is only one thing to do. It's just to believe in yourself today because it worked for me. So you see, it's quite simple, just there.
I will pick up the question on my ambition, but I think I'm going to be a bit vague about my answer. Yes, some people are good at projecting themselves in the next 5 years. I have to admit it's not always the case with me, but I know I wish to develop more technical skills and contribute to responsible and innovative projects for the next few years. And about my advice would be to work on your machine learning skills and believe in yourself also.
I agree with what you said, Marion, and would add that data science can be applied in many fields, such as finance, sport, marketing, and so on. Your technical skills need constant improvement, and you need to keep track of all the new breakthroughs. So it's really a really stimulating environment to work in. And my advice would be to stay curious and to never stop planning new things.
Thank you all for sharing your passion and valuable advice. Again, I think our audience would appreciate it. I would now like to conclude this roundtable with the last question on how do you see the role of women in machine learning and data science? Claire mentioned it at the beginning of this meetup. Let's face the reality, data science still struggles with a massive diversity problem. Women only make up as few as 15% of data science professionals globally. This is a huge gap. So how do you think we can tackle this big issue? I pass the floor to you, Lucy.
Yes, I currently give Python lessons at Dauphine University, where I try to transmit my passion for data science to students. And I'm happy to see that there are more and more girls in Python classes, which proves that the subject is progressing.
So you see those are very interesting things. From my point of view, as a woman and as a data scientist, I think that we should keep going to encourage ladies in school by organizing information sessions, share some examples, some success examples. In our company, in Société Générale, we should, or in companies in general, we should encourage management to create gender diversity in data labs. Um, our data lab is a great example of gender diversity. We have in Paris um, men data scientists and women data scientists in the same proportion. So I'm really grateful for that. So why not organizing technical workshops, information sessions, meetups, and so on, and demonstrate that any lady at the end can be a data scientist. I think if we encourage women such way, in the next few years, I'm ambitious, the, the population of women data scientists can be multiplied by at least by 2.
Yeah, I think we should promote this job to women at an early age. Women shouldn't already be in higher education before they hear about these roles. Little girls and teenagers should be aware that these cool and exciting jobs are made for them as well. And of course, with equal skills and competencies, fostering diversity in data science teams is always a good idea.
As Marion said, young female students are poorly informed about data science and its opportunities. This lack of information, coupled with few female role models, participate in keeping women out of data science. So we are doing this today to raise awareness and show women that they can be part of the AI data science industry in the hope to see more and more of them in the near future.
Thank you, Natalie, and thanks to all of you for this open and
Thank you.
passionate conversation
you.
on data science. It was really great to hear from you. I learned a lot while preparing this roundtable, and I hope that our audience too learned things today. Let's now take some questions. I can already see that we received some on the Q&A tab. Let's have a look and see if we can provide some answers. For those who are data analysts today, how to evolve to a job of data scientist? What must be done? Do you have any advice, girls?
Oh, well, work on your machine learning skills and believe in yourself again.
Okay, data is the fuel of AI. In your projects, how do you ensure to have the right and proper data? What is the role of users, customers in it? Anyone to pick this one?
Well, compliance is here for that. And yes, I mean, we have an authorization for that every time, so it's okay.
Okay. Question for Natalie. Has SG developed a risk model to monitor and forecast portfolio climate risk? If not, what are the major challenges in this field for the bank?
Yeah, so in our team, we are currently working in integrating climate risk, so transition risk and physical risk. So Société Générale is working on monitoring climate risk.
Question from Marie. This question is in fraud. In terms of fraud, do you use supervised learning? If so, how do you get the labels? Do you have enough examples to have a balanced data set?
Lorraine?
Start here. Maybe I can start. In our site, we didn't perform supervised learning, even for the first approach. It was completely unsupervised, so we didn't have labels. Now the results we have are in the side of the business to analyze them and to tell us if we should continue such way or if you have to change directions. It is really difficult to have labels in front because you know that in front things evolve very fast, very quickly. So the guy who frauds today will not fraud the same way tomorrow. So in my side, we didn't perform supervised learning.
Something to add, Lucy? Yeah, go on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
In my side on retail clients, yes, we have made supervised learning. We have labels thanks to transaction monitoring systems, a lot of alerts, and then analysts work on that. And then we know if that clients made a fraud or not. And yes, of course, we have a very, very unbalanced data set. It's a real challenge to work on that. We try some methods like SMOT, but we still work on that.
We'll take a final question from Harry. What new skills of data science are you learning recently, and in what skill did you improve since those 2 years working in the company? Maybe if you can take one part of the question, Marion or Nathalie.
Well, I've learned a lot about nowcasting, of course, during the last months. So it was more about macroeconomics models, but it's still very useful for us. We would like to be closer to this world about economy and just doing a bridge between machine learning and econometry. So it's cool. It's cool to learn about that. Yeah.
The second part is in maybe Nathalie, if you want to answer.
Yeah, so in what skill did you improve since those 2 years working in the company? Maybe I can share a skill that improved, but it's not data science related. So maybe, so working in Société Générale as a data scientist, you also have to present your work. So public speaking is also a skill that you improve working as a data scientist at Société Générale.
Perfect, and this concludes really our roundtable. And I think with something like what we have done today, we surely work on our public speaking.